Why are you celebrating New Year's in my apartment? Don't you have your own place? I snapped at my mother-in-law's nerve. My wife jumped up from the couch and shouted, "If you don't let my mom and our relatives in, I'm leaving you for good." I just smiled and said one sentence, and she dropped back onto the couch. But before I begin, please like and subscribe to the channel. And we'd love to hear which part of the world are you joining us from. Let us know. Now, let's dive into today's story. Adam Norton remembered the day he signed the papers for the house on Pine Hollow Road with perfect clarity. It was a Tuesday afternoon in March, 8 years before he ever heard the name Trevor, and the realtor had smiled at him like he'd just made the smartest decision of his life. The house wasn't remarkable. 2 stories, vinyl siding the color of cream, a front porch that sagged slightly on the left side. The yard needed work. The gutters leaked. But when Adam walked through the empty rooms that first time, listening to his footsteps echo against bare walls, he felt something settle inside him. This was his. No landlord. No roommates. No one to answer to. He was 26 then, working the graveyard shift at Midwest Manufacturing, coming home at dawn with metal dust in his hair and the smell of cutting oil soaked into his work boots. The neighborhood was quiet in that deliberate suburban way. Maple trees lining both sides of the street. Sidewalks cracked from decades of Ohio winters. Houses spaced just far enough apart that you could wave to neighbors without feeling obligated to know their names. Adam liked it that way. He appreciated clear boundaries. He spent that first summer fixing what he could afford to fix. Replaced the porch boards one by one. Painted the shutters a deep green. Planted 2 small oak trees in the front yard because someone at work told him oaks lasted generations. Adam didn't know if he'd be around for generations, but he liked the idea of building something that would. The house became his anchor. When work got stressful, equipment failures, production delays, managers breathing down his neck about quotas, he could come home to something solid. Something that didn't demand anything from him except occasional maintenance and the mortgage payment he never missed. He met Vanessa Finch 3 years later at a company barbecue. She worked in the administrative office, handling payroll and employee files. Adam noticed her because she laughed easily, smiled at everyone, and seemed genuinely interested when people talked. She asked him about his work on the production floor, listened when he explained the difference between CNC machining and injection molding, didn't pretend to understand when she clearly didn't. "You actually care about what you do," she'd said, tilting her head. "That's rare." They started dating that fall. Vanessa was different from the house. Warm where the house was solid, spontaneous where the house was predictable. She suggested weekend trips to Cleveland, convinced him to try restaurants he'd never considered, made him laugh at jokes he didn't realize were funny until she pointed them out. Her mother, Dolores Finch, appeared at their 3rd dinner date. "I wanted to meet the man my daughter keeps talking about," Dolores had announced, sliding into the booth beside Vanessa without waiting for an invitation. She was 50-something, with dyed blonde hair and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Vanessa tells me you work in a factory." "Manufacturing plant," Adam corrected. "Operations supervisor now." Dolores nodded slowly, the way people do when they're filing information away for later judgment. "And you own a home?" "I do. In this market, that's impressive for someone your age." She paused, sipping water through a straw. "What part of town?" "Pine Hollow." "Oh." The smile tightened. "That's suburban." Vanessa had laughed nervously. "Mom means it's nice, Adam." She's just surprised. Adam knew exactly what Dolores meant. She'd spent the rest of that dinner asking questions that sounded friendly but felt like inspection. What kind of car did he drive? What were his career plans? Did he have family money? Had he traveled much? Every answer seemed to disappoint her slightly, though she never said so directly. When Adam proposed 2 years later, Dolores didn't hide her thoughts. "You're sure?" she'd asked Vanessa, loudly. During the engagement party Dolores insisted on hosting. "I mean, he's nice, but you could have aimed higher." Adam had been standing in the next room, close enough to hear every word through the open doorway. He didn't react, didn't confront her, just filed it away in the part of his mind where he kept track of people's true opinions. They married in a small ceremony the following spring. Vanessa wore white. Dolores wore disappointment masked as a polite smile. Adam wore the same suit he'd bought for job interviews. After the honeymoon, a 4-day trip to Niagara Falls that Dolores called adequate, Adam and Vanessa moved into the house on Pine Hollow Road together. Adam added her name to the utilities. He kept the deed in his name alone, though he never explained why, and Vanessa never asked. The mortgage remained his responsibility. Vanessa kept her part-time job at the plant, mostly for extra spending money and, as she put it, something to do. For a while it worked. Vanessa painted the guest bedroom yellow. Adam built shelves in the garage. They grilled on weekends, watched movies on the couch Adam had owned since college, argued occasionally about small things, whether to replace the kitchen faucet, whose turn it was to take out the trash, whether they should get a dog. Normal things. Manageable things. But somewhere in year 3 of the marriage, Vanessa started changing. She stopped asking about Adam's day, started spending more time on her phone, went out with friends from work more frequently, always on nights when Adam worked late. When he tried to plan date nights, she sighed and said she was tired. When he suggested they talk, she accused him of being too serious. "You're always working," she'd say, looking at him like he was choosing overtime over her. "I need more than this." Adam worked hard because that's what responsible people did. He worked overtime because promotions didn't come to people who clocked out early. He worked late because someone had to make sure the mortgage got paid, the retirement account grew, the future stayed secure. He thought she understood that. Dolores understood it differently. "You're never home," she told Adam during Sunday dinner at her house, 6 months before everything fell apart. Vanessa needs attention. She needs someone who prioritizes her. Adam had looked at Vanessa, expecting her to defend him. She just stared at her plate, picking at roasted chicken. "I prioritize her," Adam said quietly. "I work so we can build something." Dolores laughed, sharp and quick. "Build what?" "She's not a construction project, Adam. She's your wife." Adam didn't argue. He learned long ago that arguing with Dolores was pointless. She'd already decided he wasn't good enough, and no amount of evidence would change her mind. He should have paid more attention to the silence from Vanessa. December 31st arrived cold and clear, the kind of Ohio winter day where the sky looks too blue to be real and the air bites at exposed skin. Adam finished his shift at the plant early. Management let the skeleton crew go home at noon for New Year's Eve and drove back to Pine Hollow Road thinking about whether they had enough beer in the fridge for tonight. He and Vanessa usually spent New Year's Eve quietly. Watched the ball drop on TV. Maybe order pizza. Nothing dramatic. When he turned onto his street, he expected to see his driveway empty except for Vanessa's silver Honda. Instead, he saw 2 additional vehicles. A black sedan he didn't recognize, parked at an angle like whoever drove it was in a hurry. And behind it, Dolores's old SUV, the one with the faded bumper sticker that said "Proud Mom." Adam's hands tightened on the steering wheel. He parked on the street, engine idling for a moment while he stared at his own house. Music thumped faintly through the walls, bass heavy, loud enough that the windows seemed to vibrate. Not the kind of music Vanessa usually played. Not the kind of gathering they discussed. Adam turned off the engine and got out. The cold hit him immediately, sharp against his face. He could hear laughter now, muffled but clear. Male voices mixing with female ones. The sound of bottles clinking. He walked up the driveway, boots crunching on rock salt someone had scattered across the concrete. His breath came out in white puffs. The front door was unlocked. Adam turned the handle and stepped inside. The first thing he noticed was the smell: beer, cheap cologne, something sweet and artificial like air freshener sprayed too thick. The second thing was the mess. Beer bottles crowded the coffee table he'd bought from IKEA 5 years ago. Coats were thrown across the back of his couch like the living room was a public coat check. Pizza boxes stacked on the kitchen counter, grease already seeping through cardboard. The third thing Adam noticed was his wife. Vanessa stood in the center of the living room, wearing jeans and a low-cut sweater Adam had never seen before. Her hair was curled in that careful way that took time. She was laughing at something, head tilted back, one hand holding a wine glass. And standing beside her, with one arm resting too comfortably on her lower back, was a man Adam had never seen before. Late 20s, maybe 30. Tall, clean-shaven, the kind of confident posture that came from never being told no. He wore a designer jacket, something expensive, probably more than Adam spent on clothes in a year, and his other hand held a beer bottle by the neck. Dolores sat in Adam's chair. His chair, the recliner he'd saved up for, the one positioned perfectly to watch the TV. She looked up when Adam entered, and her expression didn't change. No surprise, no guilt, just irritation that he'd arrived. The music kept playing. No one moved to turn it down. Vanessa saw him, and her smile flickered. Just for a second. Then it came back, brighter, forced. "Adam," she said quickly, stepping away from the man, but not far. "You're home early." Adam looked at her, then at the stranger, then at Dolores. "Who's this?" he asked. His voice came out calm, flat. The man smiled, actually smiled. "Trevor," he said, extending his hand like they were a networking event. "Good to finally meet you, man." Adam didn't shake his hand. Trevor lowered it slowly, smile fading into something more cautious. "He's just a friend," Vanessa said, voice rising slightly. "From work. He stopped by because she invited him," Dolores interrupted, standing up from Adam's chair. "And before you start yelling, you should know Vanessa's been under a lot of stress lately. You're never home. She needed support." Adam kept his eyes on Vanessa. "Why is he here?" "I just told you," Vanessa said, crossing her arms over her chest. "He's a friend. We were just hanging out. It's New Year's Eve, Adam. I thought we could have people over for once. You didn't tell me we were having people over. Because you would have said no." Her voice sharpened. "Because you don't want me to have friends. Because you want me to sit here alone every night while you work." Trevor shifted his weight, uncomfortable now. "Man," he said, voice casual but eyes calculating, "she told me you knew about this. About us hanging out." Adam turned to look at Trevor fully for the first time. Studied him. The expensive jacket. The way he stood just slightly too close to Vanessa. The mark on his neck, partially hidden by his collar. A hickey. Fresh. Something settled in Adam's chest. Not anger. Not even surprise. Certainty. He looked back at Vanessa. Her eyes were wide, like she was preparing to cry. Her lips trembled. The performance was already starting. "You brought him into my house," Adam said quietly. Vanessa's voice cracked on command, tears welling up. "You're scaring me right now." Dolores moved forward, positioning herself between Adam and Vanessa like a shield. "Don't you dare raise your voice to her. She's your wife. She deserves better than being interrogated in her own home." "Her home," Adam repeated. "Yes," Dolores snapped. "She lives here. It's her house, too." Adam looked around the room, at the beer bottles, at Trevor, who was now texting someone on his phone, not even pretending to pay attention, at his wife, tears running down her cheeks, playing the victim in their living room. No, not their living room. His living room. In his house. That he bought before he ever met her. That was the moment Adam understood. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even embarrassed. She was preparing her story. Adam walked past all of them, past Dolores's indignant stare and Trevor's feigned nonchalance and Vanessa's theatrical sobbing. He went to the kitchen, grabbed a glass from the cabinet, filled it with cold water from the tap, drank it slowly. Behind him, he could hear Dolores's voice rising. "You can't just storm in here and—" "I didn't storm," Adam said, turning around. His voice remained level. "I walked into my own house." Vanessa appeared in the kitchen doorway, tears still fresh on her face. "Adam, please. Can we talk about this?" "Yes," Adam said. He set the glass down on the counter carefully, precisely. "Let's talk." "How long?" Vanessa's eyes darted to Dolores, who had followed her to the kitchen. Trevor remained in the living room, scrolling through his phone. "How long what?" Vanessa asked. "How long have you been sleeping with him?" Silence dropped like a weight. Vanessa opened her mouth, closed it. Her tears stopped as suddenly as they'd started, replaced by something harder in her eyes. "That's private," Dolores said, stepping forward. "You don't get to." 6 months, Adam said, watching Vanessa's face. "At least 6 months. Probably longer." Vanessa's jaw tightened. "You don't know that." "I do." Adam looked at Trevor through the doorway. "That hickey on his neck is fresh. Maybe an hour old. You gave it to him before I got home, didn't you?" Trevor's hand moved unconsciously to his neck. Vanessa's facade cracked completely. The crying act vanished. Her face flushed red, and when she spoke, Her voice came out sharp and bitter. Fine. Yes. 6 months. Maybe if you acted like a husband instead of a robot. Maybe if you paid attention to me instead of that stupid job. Maybe if you... Adam raised his hand. Not to strike. Just to stop the words. Everyone fell silent. You brought your boyfriend and your mother into my home, Adam said, voice still calm, still controlled. You had a party in my house, with my furniture, drinking my beer while I was at work. You've been lying to me for half a year. Vanessa tried to speak. Adam kept going. You don't live here anymore. The words hung in the air. Dolores laughed. Actually laughed. You can't do that. She's your wife. You're married. You can't just kick her out. Adam looked at Dolores. Really looked at her. Saw the woman who'd spent 5 years telling her daughter she could do better, that Adam wasn't enough, that Vanessa deserved more. Watch me, he said. Then he turned and walked upstairs. Behind him, Vanessa started yelling. Dolores joined in. Trevor said something Adam didn't bother to hear. Adam climbed the stairs to the second floor, where the bedroom he'd shared with Vanessa for 5 years waited with its unmade bed and her clothes scattered across the chair and the photos on the dresser that now felt like evidence of a crime. He opened the closet door and pulled out every suitcase he owned. Adam moved with purpose, not speed. He pulled Vanessa's clothes from their hangers one piece at a time, folded her shirts, paired her shoes, emptied her dresser drawers, and placed everything in neat stacks inside the suitcases. He worked methodically, the way he approached everything in his life. Clear steps, logical order, no wasted motion. Vanessa appeared in the bedroom doorway, face red from crying or yelling or both. What are you doing? Her voice came out strangled. Packing your things, Adam said without looking up. You can't just... She stepped into the room, hands reaching for the clothes he'd just folded. You're throwing me away, like I'm garbage. Adam caught her wrist gently but firmly. No, he said, meeting her eyes. You already left. You left 6 months ago when you started sleeping with him. I'm just making it official. She jerked her arm away, tears flowing again. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. Adam returned to packing, grabbing her toiletries from the bathroom. Toothbrush, makeup, hair products. He dumped them all into a plastic bag. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. This was 6 months of choices. Adam, please. Vanessa's voice shifted, softening, becoming the voice she used when she wanted something. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll end it with Trevor. I promise. Just don't do this. Adam zipped the first suitcase closed and started on the second. Dolores appeared behind Vanessa. You're being unreasonable. People work through infidelity all the time. You're just too prideful to. Get out of my room, Adam said. Dolores blinked. Excuse me. This is my room. In my house. That I own. Adam didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. Get out. For once, Dolores had nothing to say. She backed up into the hallway, face pale. Adam continued packing. Jewelry box. Winter coats. Books Vanessa never read but insisted on keeping. He packed everything she'd brought into this house. Everything that had accumulated over 5 years of marriage. Vanessa followed him from room to room, begging, crying, yelling, threatening. The emotional display cycled through every possible variation. Victim, aggressor, penitent, accuser. Adam ignored all of it. When he finished with the bedroom, he moved to the bathroom, then the guest room where Vanessa had set up a small office. He packed her laptop, her files, the paintings she'd bought and hung on the walls. It took 2 hours. 2 hours of Vanessa's tears and Dolores's threats and Trevor awkwardly lurking downstairs, probably regretting every decision that led him to this house today. When Adam had 4 suitcases packed and 3 cardboard boxes filled, he carried them downstairs one at a time. The living room had gone quiet. Dolores sat rigid on the couch. Trevor stood by the door, jacket already on, clearly wanting to leave, but unsure if he should. Adam opened the front door wide. Cold air rushed in, cutting through the stale warmth of the house. He picked up the first suitcase and carried it outside, placing it carefully on the frozen lawn. Adam, no. Vanessa screamed, running after him. It's freezing. You can't. He went back for the second suitcase. Then the third. Then the boxes. Neighbors started appearing. Mrs. Chan from next door peeked through her curtains. The couple across the street stepped onto their porch, watching. A car slowed as it passed, driver craning his neck to see what was happening at the Norton house. Adam didn't care. He carried the last box outside and set it down next to the others. Vanessa stood on the lawn in her thin sweater, arms wrapped around herself, shivering and crying. Dolores stormed past Adam, already pulling her phone out. "I'm calling my lawyer. This is illegal eviction. You can't just—" "She's not a tenant," Adam said. "She's my wife, and this is my house. She can stay with you until we figure out the divorce." The words seemed to hit Vanessa like a physical blow. "Divorce? Yes, but we're married." Vanessa's voice rose to a shriek. "You can't just end a marriage like this. You ended it 6 months ago." Adam looked at Trevor, who was trying to make himself invisible by the door. "Is your car blocking my driveway?" Trevor nodded mutely. "Move it." Trevor practically ran to his car. Dolores grabbed Vanessa's arm. "Come on, we're leaving. Let him calm down. He'll change his mind." "I won't," Adam said. Dolores glared at him with pure hatred. "You'll regret this. Everyone will know what kind of man you really are. Cold, heartless, controlling." "Tell them," Adam said. He gestured to the suitcases, the boxes, the evidence of an affair scattered across his lawn for all the neighbors to see. "Tell everyone whatever story you want." Vanessa tried one more time, stepping toward him, voice breaking. "Adam, I love you. I know I hurt you, but I love you. We can get past this." Adam looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No anger, no pain, no love, just certainty. "You don't love me," he said quietly. "You love this house. You love the security, but you don't love me." He stepped back inside and closed the door. The lock clicked with a sound of finality. Through the window, Adam watched Dolores load the suitcases into her SUV. Watched Vanessa stand on the lawn, crying into her hands. Watched Trevor's black sedan pull away quickly, disappearing down Pine Hollow Road. When Dolores finally got Vanessa into the SUV and drove away, Adam turned off the porch light. The house fell silent. Adam walked through each room, turning off lights, picking up beer bottles, throwing away pizza boxes. He cleaned methodically, removing every trace of the party that had invaded his space. By midnight, the house looked like his again. Outside, someone set off fireworks. The neighborhood erupted in brief celebration, pops and whistles and distant cheers marking the arrival of a new year. Adam sat on his couch in the dark and listened. He didn't feel celebratory, but he didn't feel broken either. He felt clear. The next morning, Adam woke to 17 missed calls. He'd silenced his phone before bed, too tired to deal with whatever fresh drama Vanessa and Dolores were cooking up. Now, lying in bed as weak January sunlight filtered through the blinds, he scrolled through the notification screen. 3 calls from Dolores, 7 from Vanessa, 4 from numbers he didn't recognize, 3 from his own mother. He checked his social media next. Vanessa had been busy. Her Facebook status, posted at 2:47 a.m., read, "Sometimes the people you trust most hurt you the deepest. Heartbroken, but staying strong. Thank you to everyone offering support during this impossible time." The post had 63 comments. Adam scrolled through them. What happened? Sending prayers. "You deserve so much better. Stay strong, sweetie." Someone named Jessica had written, "I always thought he seemed cold. You're better off." Adam had never met Jessica. Vanessa had also posted to Instagram a photo of herself looking vulnerable and beautiful, eyes red from crying, caption reading, "When your heart breaks but you have to keep breathing." Hashtag heartbroken, hashtag betrayed, hashtag moving 214 likes already. The narrative was forming, spreading, becoming truth through repetition. Adam set his phone down and stared at the ceiling. This was the game, he realized. Vanessa wasn't trying to win him back. She was trying to win public opinion. Control the story before he could tell his side. Paint herself as the victim so thoroughly that when the truth eventually came out, people would already have chosen their side. It was strategic, almost admirable in its calculation. His phone buzzed. His mother calling again. Adam answered. Adam Michael Norton. His mother's voice came through sharp with worry. "What on earth is going on?" Vanessa's mother called me last night, saying you threw Vanessa out in the cold. Is that true? Sort of, Adam said. Sort of. His mother's voice rose. You can't just. She's your wife. Whatever she did, you work it out. You don't throw someone's belongings on the lawn like trash. She's been having an affair for 6 months, Mom. Silence. Then, quiet or what? She's been sleeping with someone from work. Brought him to the house yesterday. They were having a party while I was at work. Adam sat up, running a hand through his hair. So yes, I packed her things and asked her to leave. Another long silence. When his mother spoke again, her voice had changed. Did she admit it? Eventually. Oh, Adam. His mother sighed deeply. I'm sorry, but throwing her out like that. People are going to talk. Dolores is already calling everyone, telling them you're abusive. I know. You need to defend yourself. No, Adam said. I need to gather evidence. He spent that Sunday morning methodically going through Vanessa's digital footprint. She hadn't been careful. Why would she be? She'd never expected to get caught. Her laptop was still logged into their shared iCloud account. Adam accessed it from his computer, finding text messages she'd backed up but never deleted. The first one was from 5 months ago. Trevor, last night was amazing. When can I see you again? Vanessa, he works late Tuesday. Come over around 8. Adam read through hundreds of messages. Some made him sick. Most just made him tired. They'd been sloppy, arrogant. Trevor had even sent photos. Nothing explicit, just him smiling, flexing, trying to look impressive. Vanessa had responded with heart emojis and promises. Adam saved everything. Screenshots, downloads, timestamps. He found their meeting places. A hotel near the mall. Trevor's apartment. Even Adam's own house, multiple times, always when Adam was working overtime. There were photos, selfies. Vanessa and Trevor at restaurants, bars, a concert. Smiling. Happy. Living a whole separate life. The date stamps told the story. 6 months, like she'd admitted. But looking at the progression, seeing how comfortable they'd become, how public they'd gotten, Adam realized it had probably been longer. She'd just gotten sloppy around 6 months in. He downloaded financial records next. Their shared credit card showed charges he'd never noticed. Dinners for 2 at places he'd never been. Hotel rooms. Flowers purchased, but never delivered to the house. She'd been using his money to fund the affair. Adam sat back in his chair and stared at the spreadsheet of evidence he'd compiled. His phone kept buzzing. More calls. More messages. Vanessa's friends demanding he explain himself. Distant relatives asking if the rumors were true. Even his cousin sent a text. Dude, what happened? Adam didn't respond to any of them. Let them think what they wanted. Let Vanessa spin her story. When the time came, in court, where it mattered, he'd have facts. Truth didn't need noise. It just needed patience. The following week, Vanessa called him directly. Adam was at work, standing in the production bay and watching a new CNC machine run through its calibration cycle when his phone vibrated in his pocket. He almost ignored it, but something made him step outside into the cold January air and answer. What? His voice came out flat. Adam. Vanessa sounded different. Smaller. We need to talk. We don't. Please. Just 5 minutes. Can we meet somewhere? No. I need to get the rest of my things. Her voice cracked slightly. There's stuff you didn't pack. Personal things. Photos. I just want to come by when you're home and... Make a list, Adam interrupted. Email it to me. I'll pack whatever you need and leave it on the porch. Adam, come on. Don't be like this. Like what? Cold. The word came out accusatory. You're being cold. Adam almost laughed. I'm being cold? You brought your boyfriend into our house. He's not my boyfriend anymore, Vanessa said quickly. I ended it. I told him we're done. I made a mistake, Adam. A huge mistake. But I want to fix this. I want to fix us. There is no us. There could be. Her voice shifted into that pleading tone again, the one that used to work. People get past this. Marriages survive infidelity. We just need to. You humiliated me, Adam said, cutting through her words. You fucked another man in my house, in my bed, while I was working to pay our bills. Then you invited him back for a party and acted surprised when I came home. Silence. I'm filing for divorce, Adam continued. You'll get served papers soon. Get a lawyer if you want. But we're done talking. You're really going to throw away 5 years over one mistake. It wasn't one mistake. It was hundreds of choices. Every time you lied. Every time you texted him. Every time you let him touch you. Every time you came home and smiled at me knowing what you'd just done. Adam's voice remained level, but something harder crept into it. Those weren't mistakes. That was who you chose to be. Vanessa's breathing got shaky. I'm sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. He hung up before she could respond. Back inside the production bay, his supervisor asked if everything was okay. Adam said it was fine, just personal stuff. He focused on work for the rest of the day. Work was simple, clear inputs, predictable outputs. If you follow the procedure, the machine did what it was supposed to do. Marriage should have been that simple. But people weren't machines. Adam filed for divorce on January 15th. He'd spent 2 weeks researching Ohio divorce law, finding a lawyer who specialized in contested marriages, preparing all his documentation. The lawyer, a woman named Karen with gray hair and 30 years of experience, had listened to his story without interruption. Then she'd asked to see his evidence. Adam handed her a USB drive containing everything. Messages, photos, financial records, timestamps, witnesses, the neighbors who'd seen the lawn scene. Everything organized in clearly labeled folders. Karen had looked impressed. Most people come in here emotional and unprepared. You came ready to win. I don't want to win, Adam said. I want this to be over. Same thing in divorce court. Karen filed the paperwork that afternoon. Irreconcilable differences. Adultery. Requesting dissolution of marriage. Division of assets according to premarital ownership. No alimony. The document was filed, processed, and officially recorded. Vanessa would be served within the week. Adam went home that night and sat in his quiet house, thinking about how quickly a life could change. 5 years of marriage ending in a legal document. Love, or what he'd thought was love, reduced to clauses about property and finance. But mostly he felt relieved. The waiting was almost over. Vanessa was served on January 20th. Adam knew because she called him immediately, screaming, "You actually did it. You actually filed for divorce." "Yes," Adam said. "This is insane. We're married. You don't just give up on." "Read the paperwork, Vanessa. It explains everything. I can't believe you. I can't believe you're this cruel." Her voice dissolved into sobs. "Everyone was right about you. You were cold. You were heartless. You never loved me. If that's what you need to believe," Adam said, and hung up. Dolores called next. Then Vanessa's sister. Then someone claiming to be Vanessa's therapist, asking if Adam would consider couples counseling. Adam changed his number. He notified his lawyer, his employer, his mother, and exactly 3 friends of the new number. Everyone else could reach him by email if needed. The silence was wonderful. At work, people had started to notice Adam's situation. Manufacturing plants were small communities. Everyone knew everyone's business eventually. A few coworkers offered sympathetic nods. One guy in maintenance said, "Hang in there, man." Another asked if Adam wanted to grab beers after work. Adam appreciated the gestures, but declined. He wasn't ready for sympathy or camaraderie. He just wanted to get through this. His supervisor called him into the office one afternoon. "Norton, you doing okay?" The supervisor, a man named Bill who'd worked at the plant for 25 years, sat behind his desk, looking genuinely concerned. "I heard about your situation. If you need time off." "I don't," Adam said. "Work helps." Bill nodded slowly. "All right, but if that changes, let me know. We take care of our people here." Adam thanked him and went back to work. The machines didn't judge, didn't gossip, didn't take sides. They just ran their programs and produced parts and kept the plant operating. Adam found comfort in that simplicity. The social media campaign against Adam continued. Vanessa's posts became more frequent, more pointed. She talked about emotional abuse and narcissistic behavior and gaslighting. She never mentioned Trevor, never mentioned the affair, just painted herself as a woman trapped in a marriage to a cold, controlling man who'd thrown her out with no warning. Her friends rallied. Adam's own Facebook feed, which he rarely checked, filled with people he barely knew offering opinions on his marriage. Someone started a rumor that Adam had been physically abusive. It spread fast, growing details with each retelling. By the time it reached back to Adam through a concerned coworker, the story had him throwing Vanessa down the stairs. "I don't even know where that came from," Adam told his lawyer during their next meeting. "We never had any physical altercations. Not once." "Doesn't matter," Karen said. "People believe what makes a better story. And abuse is a better story than infidelity. So what do I do?" "Nothing. Keep your head down. Stay off social media. When we get to court, the truth will matter. Until then, let her dig her own grave." Adam trusted the advice. But it was hard watching lies spread, knowing people believed them, unable to defend himself without making things worse. His mother called weekly now, always with the same questions. "How are you holding up? Have you heard from her? Are you eating enough?" Adam appreciated his mother's concern, even when it got annoying. She'd been disappointed in his decision to file for divorce at first. His family believed in working through problems, but once he'd shown her the evidence, she'd gone quiet. "Oh, Adam," she'd whispered. "I had no idea. Neither did I, Mom." Now she called regularly to check on him, to make sure he wasn't falling apart. Adam assured her he was fine. He went to work. He came home. He maintained the house. He prepared for court. He was fine. He had to be. The court date arrived on March 12th, a cold Tuesday morning when Ohio couldn't decide between winter and spring. Adam wore his best suit, the one he'd bought for the wedding, now pressed and cleaned for the divorce. He arrived 30 minutes early, sat on a bench outside the courtroom, and reviewed his notes one more time. Karen arrived 20 minutes later, carrying a briefcase full of documentation. "Ready?" she asked. "Yes," Adam said. Vanessa arrived exactly on time, which surprised Adam. She'd never been punctual during their marriage. She wore a simple blue dress that made her look young and vulnerable. Her hair was pulled back, minimal makeup, the costume of innocence. Dolores walked beside her, one hand on Vanessa's shoulder like she was supporting a wounded soldier. They sat on the opposite side of the hallway. Neither looked at Adam. Vanessa's lawyer was young, maybe 30, with slick back hair and an expensive suit. He smiled too much, the kind of smile that came from thinking he was smarter than everyone in the room. Karen had warned Adam about this type. All style, no substance. They think divorce court is law and order. Don't worry about him. When they were called into the courtroom, Adam followed Karen inside. The judge was a woman in her 60s with reading glasses perched on her nose and an expression that suggested she'd seen everything and believed nothing. She reviewed the files without speaking, flipping through pages while both parties waited in silence. Finally, she looked up. "This is a contested divorce filing based on adultery and irreconcilable differences. Mr. Norton claims his wife engaged in a 6-month affair and requests dissolution of marriage with division of assets, according to premarital ownership. Mrs. Norton disputes these claims and is seeking reconciliation or, failing that, equitable division of marital assets, including the marital home and alimony. Is that correct?" Both lawyers confirmed. The judge nodded. "Let's begin. Mr. Norton, you're the petitioner. Present your case." Karen stood. She was calm, professional, thorough. She started with the timeline. The marriage. The changes in Vanessa's behavior. The day Adam came home to find Trevor in his house. The confrontation. The admission. Then she presented the evidence. Text messages projected onto a screen. Hundreds of them. The judge read in silence, occasionally raising an eyebrow, but showing no other emotion. Financial records showing charges for hotels, dinners, gifts, all on a joint credit card. Photos. Vanessa and Trevor at restaurants. At his apartment. In Adam's bed, that one made the courtroom go silent. Trevor had sent it to Vanessa as a joke, a selfie with the caption, "Your place is nicer than mine." Vanessa's lawyer objected. "Your Honor, these photos are taken out of context. My client admits to an emotional affair, but the physical evidence is—" "Counselor," the judge interrupted, "I can see timestamps. I can see hotel receipts. I can read messages explicitly describing sexual encounters. This is not out of context." "Continue, Ms. Harper." Karen continued. She presented testimony from neighbors who'd witnessed the lawn incident. Statements from Adam's coworkers confirming his work schedule, proving he was at the plant during times Vanessa claimed he was controlling and abusive at home. She presented Vanessa's own social media posts, showed how the narrative had shifted and changed, pointed out that not once, in dozens of posts crying victim, had Vanessa mentioned Trevor or the affair. Because, Karen said clearly, Mrs. Norton isn't interested in truth. She's interested in sympathy. Vanessa's lawyer tried to recover, called Vanessa to the stand. Vanessa performed beautifully. She cried on command, talked about how lonely she'd been, how Adam never made time for her, how she'd made a terrible mistake but wanted to fix it. I love my husband, she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. I made one mistake in 5 years, and he's throwing away our entire marriage over it. That's not love. That's cruelty. The judge listened, took notes, said nothing. Vanessa's lawyer asked leading questions designed to paint Adam as cold, controlling, emotionally unavailable. Vanessa answered them perfectly, building a story of neglect and loneliness that justified her affair. When it was Karen's turn to cross-examine, she stood slowly. Mrs. Norton, Karen said, you stated this was one mistake. How many times did you have sexual contact with Mr. Trevor Ross? Vanessa hesitated. I don't know exactly. More than once. Yes. More than 10 times. Possibly. More than 20. I don't remember. Karen pulled out a document. According to hotel receipts and text messages, you and Mr. Ross had assignations at least 43 times over a 6-month period. That's averaging roughly twice per week. Would you characterize that as one mistake? Vanessa's face went red. It's still a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt Adam. But you did hurt him. Yes. 43 times. Yes. And then you brought Mr. Ross to your husband's home and had a party while Mr. Norton was at work. Is that correct? It wasn't like that. Answer the question, please. Vanessa glanced at her lawyer. Yes. Trevor was at the house. With your mother? Yes. Who knew about the affair? Vanessa trailed off. Did your mother know you were having an affair with Mr. Ross? Vanessa's lawyer stood. Objection, relevance. Overruled, the judge said. Answer the question, Mrs. Norton. Vanessa looked at her hands. Yes, she knew. So your mother knew you were cheating on your husband and still helped you orchestrate this New Year's Eve party where you invited your lover into your husband's home. It wasn't orchestrated. Did you plan the party? Yes. Did you invite Mr. Ross specifically? Yes. Did you tell your husband about it? No. Why not? Vanessa's voice got defensive. Because he would have said no. Because, Karen said slowly, he would have objected to his wife inviting her lover into their marital home. Is that correct? Silence. Mrs. Norton? Yes, Vanessa whispered. Karen let that sit. Then she asked, after your husband discovered the affair and asked you to leave, what did you do? I want to stay with my mother. And did you post on social media about what happened? Yes. Did you mention the affair in those posts? No. Why not? Because it was private. But you mentioned feeling betrayed. You mentioned heartbreak. You mentioned abuse. All of those were lies, weren't they? They weren't lies. Your husband never abused you, did he? Vanessa hesitated too long. Mrs. Norton, did your husband ever physically harm you? No. Did he ever verbally abuse you? He was cold. That's not abuse, Mrs. Norton. That's your opinion of his personality. Karen's voice stayed calm. Did your husband support you financially throughout your marriage? Yes. Did he provide you with a home? Yes. Did he ever prevent you from working, seeing friends, or having independence? No, but did you use his money to fund your affair with Mr. Ross? Vanessa's lawyer stood. Your Honor, this is badgering. It's cross-examination, the judge said. Answer the question, Mrs. Norton. Vanessa looked like she might cry again. But this time, the tears didn't come. Yes, I used money from our joint account. Karen nodded. No further questions. The judge called a 15-minute recess. Adam sat in the hallway, staring at the floor tile. Karen sat beside him, reviewing notes. That went well, she said. Did it? Adam felt numb. Very well. The judge isn't buying her performance, and the evidence is overwhelming. Karen closed her folder. This should be straightforward from here. Across the hall, Vanessa sat with her mother and her lawyer. Dolores was whispering urgently. Vanessa looked defeated, makeup smudged from the tears that had finally come. Real ones this time, born from humiliation rather than strategy. When they reconvened, the judge didn't waste time. I've reviewed all submitted evidence and heard testimony from both parties. This is my decision. Everyone sat straighter. The marriage between Mr. Adam Norton and Mrs. Vanessa Norton is dissolved, effective immediately. Mrs. Norton's claim of abuse is unfounded and contradicted by all available evidence. The affair is documented extensively and constitutes grounds for divorce under Ohio law. Vanessa made a small sound, almost a gasp. The judge continued. Regarding assets, Mr. Norton purchased the marital home prior to the marriage and retained sole ownership throughout. The home remains his property. All items Mrs. Norton brought into the marriage, along with any gifts or personal possessions, are hers to keep. Joint accounts will be divided 50-50 as of the date of separation. There will be no alimony. Vanessa's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client has no job, and your client is 29 years old and in good health. She can find employment. The judge removed her glasses. Furthermore, given that Mrs. Norton used marital funds to facilitate an extramarital affair, I find her claim for alimony particularly lacking in merit. The judge's gavel came down. This court is adjourned. It was over. Just like that. 5 years of marriage ended in a legal ruling that took 90 seconds to deliver. Adam stood slowly. He felt Karen's hand on his shoulder, reassuring, congratulatory. Across the courtroom, Vanessa was crying. Dolores was arguing with the lawyer, voice rising. The young lawyer looked uncomfortable, probably realizing he'd underestimated the case. Adam walked out without looking back. Outside, the March air was cold and clean. Adam stood on the courthouse steps and breathed deeply. Karen joined him a moment later. Congratulations. Thank you, Adam said. For everything. You did the work. I just presented it. She handed him a folder. Final paperwork. Sign where indicated and mail it back. Then you're officially a free man. Free. The word felt strange. Adam shook Karen's hand, got in his car, and drove home. Vanessa tried one more time. She called from an unknown number a week after the divorce finalized. Adam answered because he didn't recognize it. Adam. Her voice was small, defeated. Please. I just want to talk. We don't have anything to talk about. Yes, we do. We were married. We had 5 years together. That has to mean something. Adam parked in his driveway and sat in his car, engine idling. It did mean something. Once. Then give me a chance to fix it. I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed everything. But people make mistakes. Marriages survive this. Her voice cracked. I still love you. No, Adam said. You love what I represent. Security. Stability. The house. You never loved me. That's not true. You brought another man into my bed, Vanessa. You let him sleep in the sheets I paid for. You had sex with him in the room where we started our marriage. Adam's voice stayed calm, but something final entered it. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. 43 times. Silence. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know you are. You're sorry you lost. Sorry the court didn't believe you. Sorry your plan didn't work. Adam took a breath. But you're not sorry for what you did to me. You're sorry about the consequences. Adam, I don't forgive you, he said. I don't forgive people who turn my home into a stage for their affairs. I don't forgive betrayal. And I don't give second chances when the first one was destroyed so thoroughly. He hung up, blocked the number, sat in his car for 5 more minutes, making sure he meant what he'd said. He did. Then he went inside. 1 year later, the house on Pine Hollow Road looked different. Not structurally, it was still the same 2-story vinyl-sided place Adam had bought 9 years ago, but different in feeling, lighter, cleaner. His. Adam had spent the year reclaiming it. He'd painted the bedroom a different color, replacing the soft blue Vanessa had chosen with a neutral gray. He'd replaced the mattress, unable to sleep on the old one knowing what had happened there. He'd bought a new couch because the old one reminded him of coming home to find Trevor sitting on it. He'd torn up the carpet in the guest room and installed hardwood floors himself, spending weekends on his knees with a nail gun and level. The work was therapeutic, physical, clear. The front yard looked better too. The oak trees he'd planted 11 years ago had grown taller. He'd repaired the porch boards, fixed the sagging left side, added a new railing, painted the shutters. The house felt solid again. So did Adam. He'd stayed at his job, got a promotion to senior operations manager. The raise was nice. The respect was nicer. His co-workers stopped asking about the divorce after a few months, which Adam appreciated. He didn't want to be defined by what Vanessa had done. He dated occasionally. Nothing serious. He wasn't ready for serious. But coffee with a woman from HR had been pleasant. Dinner with someone he'd met at the gym had been fine. He didn't feel pressure to rush into anything. He'd learned his lesson about trusting too quickly. Vanessa, according to mutual acquaintances, had remarried. Not a Trevor. Apparently, he'd ghosted her once the affair became public. To someone else, someone Adam didn't know and didn't care to know. Dolores never called again. Never apologized. Probably never would. Adam was fine with that. Some relationships ended. Some people exited your life. And sometimes, most times, that was for the best. On December 31st, exactly 1 year after everything fell apart, Adam sat alone in his living room. The lights were low. No party. No guests. No noise. Just him, a book, in a quiet house. Outside, someone set off fireworks early. Pops and whistles echoed down Pine Hollow Road. Through his window, Adam could see neighbors gathering on porches, bundled in coats, counting down together. He could hear their voices faintly. 10, 9, 8. Adam closed his book and listened. 7, 6, 5. A year ago, this moment had been chaos. Betrayal. Pain. The beginning of the worst few months of his life. 4, 3, 2. Now it was just quiet. 1. Happy New Year. More fireworks. More cheers. Music starting up from houses down the street. Adam stood and walked to the window. Looked out at his neighborhood, his street, his yard. His house. It felt right. Not happy, necessarily. Happiness was complicated, conditional, dependent on circumstances and other people. But right felt solid. Right felt like standing on firm ground after months of quicksand. Adam had learned something important this year. Some endings don't look happy from the outside. They look cold, harsh, unforgiving. But looking happy and being right aren't the same thing. And sometimes the hardest choices are the right ones. He bought this house when he was 26, built a life in it, lost that life, and rebuilt it again. The house had witnessed everything, absorbed it all, survived. So had Adam. He turned away from the window, turned off the lights, and went upstairs to bed. Tomorrow was a new year, a fresh start, not a dramatic one, just another day of work, maintenance, routine. But it was his day, his routine, his life. Nobody could take that from him again. And in the quiet house on Pine Hollow Road, as the old year became the new one, Adam Norton slept soundly for the first time in a long time. Not because he'd forgiven, not because he'd forgotten, but because he'd finally completely let go.